Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we shall study about some important results and simple identities. So first of all, we know that for any two complex numbers Z1 and Z2, Z1 plus Z2 whole bar is Z1 bar plus Z2 bar. Now, the question is, can we extend this result for finitely many complex numbers? That is, for finitely many complex numbers Z1, Z2, so on, Zn. So what could be Z1 plus Z2 plus so on, Zn whole bar. So can I get the same result? So here we have conjugate of the sum is sum of the conjugates, where we have only two complex numbers. Now here I have n complex numbers, where n could be any natural numbers. That means I have finitely many complex numbers. Can I get the same result in this case also? So now this is equal to. Now we have sum of n complex numbers. Now group these numbers. So Z2 plus Z3 plus so on Zn. You know that addition of two complex numbers is again a complex number. So Z2 plus Z3 plus so on Zn. So this is one single complex number. Consider it as a single complex number, and here Z1. So now apply. So you have to take this whole complex number as Z2. Right now we have the form Z1 plus Z2 whole bar. It will be Z1 bar plus this whole bar, that is Z2 plus Z3 plus so on Zn whole bar. Now repeat the same. Now Z1 bar as it is. Now here Z2 plus. Now take this sum as one single complex number. Then once again we have the form Z1 plus Z2 whole bar. So once again it will be Z2 bar plus Z3 plus so on up to Zn whole bar. Now repeating the above procedure for finitely many times. So what I'll get? So repeating the above procedure for finitely many times, we get what we get. So in the next step, what we would be doing, so we'll group Z3 and Z4 plus Z5 plus so on Zn. So that will be splitted into Z3 bar plus Z4 plus Z5 plus so on Zn whole bar. So repeat this until we get Z1 bar plus Z2 bar plus Z3 bar so on up to Zn bar. So finally we get that. So Z1 plus Z2 plus so on Zn whole bar is Z1 bar plus Z2 bar plus so on up to Zn bar. So this result follows by repeatedly applying this result. Or we have another method. As it is a result in terms of natural numbers. Here n is any natural number, so you can apply mathematical induction. You can prove this using induction also, where the steps are, so you have to prove the result for n is equal to 2, which is already proved. Now you have to assume for some k, and you have to prove for k plus 1, wherein we'll use n is equal to 2 case to prove for the case k plus 1. So we can prove this result using mathematical induction also. Similarly, we can see another result, which is Z1 into Z2 into so on Zn whole bar is Z1 bar into Z2 bar into so on Zn bar, and which actually follows So this follows by the finite case, that is Z1 into Z2 whole bar is Z1 bar into Z2 bar. So which we have already proved in previous videos. So using this repeatedly. So we'll use the same idea once again. So we'll group these numbers. So first take Z1 as one complex number, Z2 into Z3 into so on Zn. So multiplication of complex numbers are again complex numbers. So this will be considered one complex number. So Z1 into Z2 whole bar is Z1 bar into Z2 bar. So apply this identity repeatedly, then you will get this result, right? Now, by this result, we'll observe an important result here, which is existence of complex roots. Existence of complex roots. For that, consider a polynomial. Consider a polynomial of the form Cn z power n, Cn minus 1 z power n minus 1, so on C1 z plus C0 equals 0, where Ci's are complex numbers. So I runs from 0 to n. That means I have considered a polynomial with complex coefficients in the complex variable z. You know that any polynomial of degree n will have exactly n roots. So now, as it is a polynomial of degree n, because the highest power of the unknown is n, so degree of this polynomial will be n. So this polynomial will have exactly n roots. Now suppose if Z0 is a root, of the above equation, then so what will we having? So Z0 is a solution or root of this equation means, so Z0 will actually satisfy this equation, right? That is Cn into Z0 power n plus Cn minus 1 Z0 power n minus 1, so on C1 Z0 plus C0 will be equal to 0. Now, so by this equation, what we have? We have Cn Z0 power n plus Cn minus 1 Z0 power n minus 1 plus so on C1 Z0 plus C0 equals to 0. So this equation we have. Now take conjugate on both sides. So this implies, so as this number is equal to this number, that is 0, conjugate of this number will be equal to conjugate of this number, that is Cn Z0 power n plus Cn minus 1 Z0 power n minus 1 plus so on C1 Z0 plus C0 whole bar is equal to 0 bar, that is conjugate of 0. Now which implies, now we have conjugate of finite sum of complex numbers. Just now we have proved that conjugate of Z1 plus Z2 plus so on Zn is Z1 bar plus Z2 bar plus so on Zn bar. So we will apply that result here. So then it will be Cn Z0 power n bar plus Cn minus 1 Z0 power n minus 1 bar plus so on C1 Z0 bar plus C0 bar will be equal to. So conjugate of 0 is itself. As it is a real number, it is both real and purely imaginary. So taking the fact that it is real, its conjugate will be itself. Now this implies. Now we have conjugate of the product. So Cn bar into Z0 power n whole bar, Cn minus 1 bar into Z0 power n minus 1 bar, so on. Cn C1 into Z0 bar, C0 bar equals 0. Now Z0 power n means it is Z0 multiplied n times. So Z0 power n is Z0 into Z0 into so on Z0 n times. Now this conjugate means Z0 power n means conjugate means it will be conjugate of Z0 into Z0 into Z0 n times. So use this result. So conjugate of Z1 into Z2 into so on Zn is Z1 bar into Z2 bar into so on Zn bar. So if I use this result, so this will be Z0 bar into Z0 bar so on Z0 bar. How many times? N times. And what is this? A number multiplied n times means it is its nth power. So Z0 power n whole bar is Z0 bar whole power n. So repeat this for all the powers. So which implies Cn bar into Z0 bar whole power n, Cn minus 1 bar into Z0 bar whole power n minus 1, so on up to C1 into Z0 bar plus C0 bar equals 0. Now we can observe here, so which implies, which shows that, so Z0 bar is actually satisfying the equation. Z0 bar is a root of the equation Cn bar Z power n plus Cn minus 1 bar Z power n minus 1 plus so on C1 bar. So I have left bar here. So C1 into Z0 whole bar is C1 bar into Z0 bar. So C1 bar into Z plus C0 bar equals 0. So you can observe here, so actually Z0 bar is actually satisfying this equation, So now what is the observation? If Z0 is a 0 of this equation, then Z0 bar will be 0 of this equation. That means if Z0 is a 0 of equation with coefficients C1, Cn minus 1, so on Cn, C0, then Z0 bar will be 0 of the equation with coefficients Cn bar, Cn minus 1 bar, C1 bar, so on C0 bar. Now suppose, so in general I have taken these coefficients to be complex numbers. So in particular, if these scalars are real numbers, in particular if they are reals, then so you know that for real numbers their conjugates are itself. Then so Ci bar will be Ci itself for all I varying from 0 to n. In that case, Cn bar will be nothing but Cn, Cn minus 1 bar will be nothing but Cn minus 1, so on C1 bar will be nothing but C1, C0 bar will be nothing but C0. So what that means? Z0 bar will be a 0 of the same equation. So in that case, Z0 and Z0 bar. Already we have assumed that Z0 is a 0 of this equation. and we got z naught bar is a 0 of this equation. If these coefficients are real numbers, their conjugates are itself, and that means z naught bar will be a root of this equation. So z naught and z naught bar are roots of the equation Cn z power n, Cn minus 1 z power n minus 1, so on, C1z plus C naught equals 0, where Ci's are real numbers. Ci's are real numbers. So what that means, if we have a polynomial with real coefficients, then complex roots always occur in conjugates, That means if suppose this is a polynomial with real coefficients, suppose a complex number z naught is a solution for this, then z naught bar will also be a solution of this equation. So this is a very important result. That means for any polynomial with real coefficients, complex roots always occur in conjugates. So thus for a polynomial with real coefficients, complex roots always occur in conjugates. So this means that whenever a complex number z naught is a root of a polynomial with real coefficients, then obviously its conjugate will also be a root of the same polynomial with real coefficients. You can see this using an equation. For example, consider a quadratic equation x square plus x plus 1 equals 0. So if you compare this with respect to the standard quadratic equation, so coefficient of x square is 1, coefficient of x is 1, and the constant is also 1. So if you want to see the roots of this equation by Sridhara's formula, then x will be equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac by 2a. So that is minus 1 plus or minus square root of b square, that is 1 minus 4ac, 4 into 1 into 1, 4 divided by 2, or it is square root of minus 3. Square root of minus 3 is square root of minus 3 can be written as square root of minus 1 into 3. So if you write like that, so that will be equal to minus 1 plus or minus square root of 3 can be factorized as minus 1 into 3, then square root of minus 1 into square root of 3. So it will be I into root 3 by 2. So that is, so what are the roots? So as it is a quadratic equation, there are two roots. So roots are, one is minus 1 by 2 plus I into root 3 by 2, or the other root is minus 1 by 2 minus I root 3 by 2. So these are the roots of this quadratic equation, where you can observe that this is a complex root of this polynomial whose coefficients are real numbers. All its coefficients are real numbers and it is a complex root of this polynomial. Hence, its conjugate will also be a root of this equation. So this is a very important result. So where for a polynomial with real coefficients, if there is a complex root for that, then the conjugate will also be root. That is, complex roots always occur in conjugates. We shall see some important identities. Now, for any two complex numbers z1 and z2, consider modulus of z1 plus z2 whole square. Modulus of z1 plus z2 whole square. Now this is equal to, so we know that z into z bar is modulus of z whole square. So this will be equal to z into z bar. Right, modulus of z1 plus z2 whole square will be z1 plus z2 into z1 plus z2 whole bar. Now z1 plus z2 into z1 plus z2 whole bar is z1 bar plus z2 bar. Now multiply these two factors. So z1 into z1 bar plus z1 into z2 bar plus now z2 into z1 bar plus z2 into z2 bar. Now this is z1 plus z1 into z1 bar. So that will be nothing but modulus of z1 whole square plus. So the last term z2 into z2 bar. So that will be modulus of z2 whole square plus z1 into z2 bar plus z1 bar into z2. So you can see these two are terms with alternate conjugate. So here z1 into z2 bar, here z1 bar into z2. So that means you can observe that this is nothing but conjugate of this number. For f, actually, so z1 into z2 bar is there. So z1 into z2 bar. So what is its conjugate? So z1 into z2 bar whole bar means z1 bar into z2 bar bar. So it will be double bar. So it is z1 bar into z2 bar bar will be z2. So that means it is nothing but this number. So this is nothing but conjugate of this. So which implies modulus of z1 plus z2 whole square is modulus of z1 whole square plus modulus of z2 whole square plus z1 plus z2 bar as it is. So this number can be written as conjugate of z1 into z2 bar. Now I'll use the identity z plus z bar is 2 times of real part of z. So z plus z bar is there. So therefore it will be nothing but modulus of z1 plus z2 whole square equals modulus of z1 whole square plus modulus of z2 whole square plus z plus z bar will be 2 times of real part of that complex number, that is z1 into z2 bar. So this is one of the important identity in complex analysis. So similarly we can prove that modulus of z1 plus z2, modulus of z1 minus z2 whole square as. So use the same So just in place of Z1 plus Z2 we have Z1 minus Z2. So it is Z1 minus Z2 into Z1 minus Z2 whole bar. So it is Z1 minus Z2 into. So Z1 minus Z2 is there. So Z1 minus Z2 can be written as Z1 plus of minus Z2. So we have conjugate of this. So it will be Z1 bar plus minus Z2 bar. Minus Z2 bar is nothing but minus Z2 bar. So that will be nothing but Z1 bar minus Z2 bar. So conjugate of the difference is difference of the conjugates. Now multiply as we done before. So we'll multiply two factors of this form as, so first Z1 into the second factor, that is Z1 bar minus Z2 bar minus Z2. So the second term into the second factor. So this is how we multiply. Now Z1 into Z1 bar minus Z1 into Z2 bar minus Z1 bar into Z2 minus to minus plus Z2 into Z2 bar. So Z1 into Z1 bar is modulus of Z1 whole square. The last term Z2 into Z2 bar is modulus of Z2 whole square. Then so Z1 into Z2 bar minus Z1 bar into Z2. So both are minus. So minus common Z1 into Z2 bar plus Z1 bar into Z2. So as we seen earlier, so Z1 bar into Z2. Z1 bar into Z2 is nothing but conjugate of Z1 into Z2 bar. So repeat the same. So this will be equal to modulus of Z1 whole square plus modulus of Z2 whole square minus Z1 into Z2 bar plus this is Z1 into Z2 bar whole bar. Once again, Z plus Z bar, it is minus 2 times of real part of Z. So that is, we have the identity modulus of Z1 minus Z2 whole square is equal to modulus of Z1 whole square plus modulus of Z2 whole square minus 2 times of real part of Z1 into Z2 bar. So these are the two important identities which we will be using many times in complex analysis. A simple problem: prove that modulus of A minus B divided by 1 minus A bar B equals 1 if either modulus of A is equal to 1 or modulus of B is equal to 1. So if any one of these moduli values are equal to 1, you have to prove modulus of this value is 1. So this is one part. Later we have to prove that what exception must be made if both are equal to 1. That means, so to get the same result, so what exception must be made? That means what assumption we have to make if both are equal to 1. Right? First we shall prove this part. That means if any one of these two are equal to 1, then we shall prove this result. Now assume modulus of A is equal to 1. So we have to assume that any one of these two are equal to 1. So I am assuming modulus of A is equal to 1. So the other has to be other than 1. So both cannot be equal to 1. Now with this assumption, we have to prove modulus of this is equal to 1. Now consider modulus of A minus B divided by 1 minus A bar B. Now we have to prove this is equal to 1. So modulus of the quotient is quotient of the moduli, so provided the denominator is 0. But we cannot further expand this or simplify it because we don't know the value of modulus of a minus b. As a and b are arbitrary, modulus of a minus b we don't know. We cannot expand this term. So what shall we do is we'll consider its square. We shall consider its square. Now modulus of a minus b by 1 minus a bar b modulus whole square is there. So it will be modulus of a minus b whole square divided by 1 minus a bar b whole modulus square. Now we can expand this. We know what is modulus of a minus b whole square. Just now we have proved that modulus of z1 minus z2 whole square is modulus of z1 whole square plus modulus of z2 whole square minus 2 times of real part of z1 into z2 bar. Now we shall use this result. So this is equal to expansion of numerator is modulus of a square plus modulus of b square minus 2 into real part of a into b bar divided by 1 minus a bar b modulus whole square. It is modulus of 1 whole square plus modulus of a bar b whole square minus 2 into real part of 1 into this. In place of z2 we have a bar b, so a bar b whole bar. Now simplify it. So this step is equal to, so modulus of a is 1, so 1 square is 1, so 1 plus modulus of b whole square minus 2 into real part of a b bar. So divided by modulus of 1 is 1, 1 square is 1 plus. So modulus of a bar b whole square is there. So it is modulus of a whole square, a bar whole square into modulus of b whole square minus 2 into real part 1 into a bar b whole bar. 1 into anything is itself. So bar of a bar b, conjugate of a bar b is a b bar. Now this is equal to 1 plus modulus of b whole square minus 2 into real part of a b bar divided by 1 plus. So you know that modulus of a bar is nothing but modulus of a, which is equal to 1. So 1 square is 1. So just you are left with modulus of b whole square minus 2 into real part of a bar b. Now we have both numerator and denominator are equal to fixed number. Now provided this is a non-zero number, then you can cancel it as this one's a, this one's a. But it is, if it is 0, we cannot do that. Then it will be an indeterminate file, 0 by 0. So you have to make sure that this number is non-zero. This number is non-zero. Now what happens if it is 0? What happens if it is 0? So suppose 1 plus modulus of b whole square minus 2 into real part of a b bar is 0. Suppose this number is 0. So if it is a non-zero quantity, then I can cancel it as this one's a, this one's a. Suppose if we have 2 by 2, what is this? 2 ones are, 2 ones are. So it will be 1. So just I have to do that work. So I can do that work only whenever this number is non-zero. So just I am taking care of this number. Just I have to make sure that it is non-zero. So what if it is 0? So can it be 0? So just I am checking it. So suppose it is 0. So suppose this term is 0. So how I got this term? By simplifying this term, right? So this is 0 means nothing but saying modulus of 1 minus a bar b whole square is 0. Square of some number is 0 means, so that number will be 0. Now, modulus of some number is 0 means that number has to be 0. It is a bar b equals 1. Now take modulus on both sides. So modulus of a bar b is modulus of 1, which is 1. So that is modulus of a bar b is modulus of a bar into modulus of b, which is equal to 1. Now modulus of a bar is nothing but modulus of a into modulus of b is equal to 1. But we have assumed modulus of a is equal to 1, which implies modulus of b will also be 1. But it is a contradiction to the assumed fact, a contradiction to the hypothesis. So assuming this number is 0 will contradict our fact. So that number cannot be 0. If it is 0, we'll get a false statement. So it cannot be 0. So it is not 0 means I can cancel this as this one's a, this one's a. So therefore, as the modulus square of this term is equal to quotient whose numerator and denominator are equal, which are non-zero, so the fraction will be equal to 1. So square of this number is 1 means, so that is if x square is equal to 1, so x will be plus or minus 1. X will be plus 1 or minus 1. But modulus of a minus b by 1 minus a bar b. So as we have this as a modulus, you know that modulus cannot be negative. It will be always non-negative, 0 or positive. So it cannot take negative value. So it will be plus 1. So that is modulus of a minus b by 1 minus a bar b will be equal to 1. So as square of this number will be equal to 1, so this number will be either plus 1 or minus 1. But as it can take only positive value, it will be plus 1. So thus we proved that. So with the assumption modulus of a is equal to 1 and the other is not equal to 1, this modulus value has 1. If modulus of b is equal to 1 and the other is not equal to 1, so we can follow the same steps. So just in place of a we have b and in place of b we have a. As a and b are arbitrary, so here a and b can denote any complex numbers. So just change the roles of a and b. Assume a as b and b as a. So if I assume b as a, 1 plus modulus of a square minus 2 into real part of a into b bar by this will we have it. And we can prove that it is non-zero by this contradiction. So 1 1's are, once again we'll get the same result. So the proof for this assumption follows in the similar way. Right? The other case, the case modulus of a is not equal to 1 and modulus of b is equal to 1 follows similarly by changing the roles of A and B. So we'll get the same result. Repeat the same arguments assuming this one. We'll get the same result. Now we'll come to the second part of the question. The second part of the question is what exception must be made to get the same result if both are equal to 1. So assume modulus of A is equal to modulus of B is equal to 1. Suppose both are equal to 1. Then to get the same result, that means to show that the modulus is equal to 1, what condition has to be assumed? So that we need. So once again I consider modulus of a minus b by 1 minus a bar b whole square. So by the above part it will be, so actually at the first step it will be 1 minus 1 plus modulus of b whole square minus 2 into real part of a b bar divided by, the denominator will also be same, 1 plus modulus of b whole square minus 2 into real part of a b bar. Just I am borrowing the previous part. So solving this square term you will get this. Now so this we got assuming modulus of a is equal to 1, and which is true in this case also. And in addition to this one, we have modulus of b is also equal to 1. Now substitute this fact in this equation. So then 1 plus 1 minus 2 into real part of a b bar divided by 1 plus 1 minus 2 into real part of a b bar, or that is nothing but 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 minus 2 into real part of a b bar by 2 minus 2 times of real part of a b bar. Now what are we proving here actually? So to get the result, same result, what condition, what fact we have to assume? So I have to get modulus to be equal to 1. So modulus value has to be equal to 1 means square has to be equal to 1. That means this fraction has to reduce to 1. So this fraction should reduce to 1 means, so denominator should cancel with numerator, and that is true only when it is a non-zero value, right? So therefore modulus of a minus b by 1 minus a bar b whole square is 1 provided so this number 2 minus 2 times of real part of a b bar is non-zero. So if the square is 1 means, so that will be equivalent to saying that, so the modulus value will be 1. So thus I can conclude that the modulus of a minus b by 1 minus a bar b will be equal to 1, because this will imply this one. If square is equal to 1, this will be 1. So just I am replacing this by its implication. 1 provided 2 minus 2 times of real part of a b bar will be non-zero. So or equivalently, so 2 minus 2 times of real part of a b bar is not equal to 0 means real part of a b bar is not equal to 1. So this is the condition. So under this condition we will get the same result. So this exception we have to make. That means, so I have to make the exception that real part of a b bar cannot be equal to 1. It can take any value other than 1. So if it takes any value other than 1, then this number will be non-zero. So I can cancel denominator with numerator. So square will be equal to 1. Hence modulus value will be equal to 1. So we will get the same result whenever both are equal to 1, with the exception real part of a b bar is not equal to 1. And by this problem gets complete. Another simple problem: find the condition under which the equation az plus bz bar plus c equal to 0 in one complex unknown, that is z, has exactly one solution. And in that case we have to compute that single solution. So given they have equation, so they have given an equation az plus bz bar plus c equal to 0, where a, b and c are fixed complex numbers and z is a variable. As z varies, z bar also varies. That means actually we have two variables but not independent. So one is dependent on the other, because as z varies, suppose z is equal to x plus iy means I can easily find z bar, which is x minus iy. So one is dependent on the other, but we have two variables. So now we have to find condition. We have to find the condition under which this equation should have one and only one solution. It should have exactly one solution, right? So given, first of all, given az plus bz bar plus c equal to 0. So as this equation actually contains two variables, but one is dependent on the other, so to find solution, actually we need literally two equations with same unknowns. But here we have only one equation. So what shall we do? We have to generate another equation with same unknowns. So for that, what we'll do is we shall take conjugate on both sides. The advantage is if you take the conjugate, so z turns into z bar turns into z. So once again you'll get an equation in the unknowns z and z bar. So that means we'll be having two equations in two unknowns. So solving it is easier, so that I can get a solution for this and condition also. Now conjugate then taking conjugate on both sides, so az plus bz bar plus c is equal to 0. So this bar will be equal to this bar. So as these two complex numbers are equal, their conjugates will also be equal. So which implies a bar z bar plus b bar z, because z bar whole bar is z, plus c bar is equal to 0 bar, which is 0. So that is, we have b bar z plus a bar z bar plus c bar equals 0. So call this as equation 1, call this as equation 2. Now as this is conjugate of this equation, we can observe that, so any number satisfying this equation will also satisfy this equation. So that is, note that equation 1 and 2 attain solution simultaneously. That means if this equation has a solution, then that solution will also be a solution for this equation. So hence this equation will also attain solution. And conversely, if this equation attains solution, that means if this equation has a solution, then that will also be a solution for this equation. Hence this equation will also have solution. So that means these two equations will have solutions simultaneously. If this has, then this will have. If it does not has, this will also will not have. So you can verify this equation result. In fact, if Z0 is a solution of the equation AZ plus BZ bar plus C equals to 0, then so what it means? So it is a solution of this equation, means it has to satisfy the equation. So that is AZ0 plus BZ0 bar plus C is equal to 0. So, but then once again do the same work. As these two complex numbers are equal, their conjugates will also be AZ0 plus BZ0 bar plus C is equal to 0. So implies conjugate of this number equals conjugate of this number, which implies A bar Z0 bar B bar Z0 plus C bar equals 0, or that is B bar Z naught plus A bar Z naught bar plus C bar equals 0. So what it means? So actually Z naught is satisfying 2. So that is Z naught is a solution of equation. Now go in the reverse direction. Assume that Z naught is a solution of equation 2. Then it has to satisfy the equation. Go back, take conjugate on both sides. Then you will get A Z naught plus B Z naught bar plus C equal to 0. So what it means? Z naught will be a solution of equation 1. So all the solutions of equation 1 will be solutions of equation 2, and all the solutions of equation 2 will be solutions of equation 1. So that means equation 1 and 2 will attain solution simultaneously. So by this fact we can see that, but then the equation AZ plus BZ bar plus C equals 0, and the system is AZ plus BZ bar plus C equals to 0, and B bar Z plus A bar Z bar plus C bar equals 0. But then this equation and the system, this attain solution simultaneously. So this actually follows by this fact. So here we have seen that equation 1 and 2 attain solution simultaneously. That means whenever equation 1 has solution, equation 2 will also have the same solution. So now we can see this one. So if this equation has a solution, then that will be a solution for this equation also. So that means both will have solution. So both the equations have the same solution means the system will have the solution. So that is the meaning. So system has a solution means what? So both the equations should be get satisfied by the same number. So if this equation has a solution, then it implies that equation 2, this individual equation will also have solution, so that this pair will have a common solution. So the system will have a solution one way. Now suppose this system has a solution. What it means? These pair of equations are satisfied a single or common number. It means that this equation will have solution. So that means this equation and the system will have common solutions. Now we are doing this because actually I have to find an equation for this. Find a solution for this equation. So and finding a solution which has two variables, so it is difficult to, so hence we consider an additional equation. So solving these two, we will get a equation, this solution for this equation. And one more thing is, so we do not know to find the condition for an equation to have exactly one solution, right? We do not find a condition, we cannot find a condition under which the single equation can have one solution, but we know when can a system will have one solution, unique solution. So here what we have, these two. So this equation and the system will attain solution simultaneously. Whenever this equation has, actually this was the first equation and call this as system star. So whenever equation 1 has a solution, then star will have solution, and whenever star has a solution, equation 1 will have solution. So there is a one-to-one correspondence between solutions of these two sets. Now actually I need condition for exactly one solution of equation 1. So if this should have only one solution, then system star should have only one solution, because if it has more than one solution, If system has more than one solution, in that case, this individual equation will also have more than one solution. So this system will have one and only one solution if and only if this equation will have one and only one solution. So actually that condition we need, and that condition is easy. Finding that condition is very easier if we consider a system, because for a system we know to find condition under which this system has one and only one solution, but we do not have any method to find condition to find a equation has one and only one solution. So what we'll do is, so we shall find condition under which the system will have exactly one and only one solution. So that condition will be followed to this also. Now AZ plus BZ bar plus C is equal to 0, B bar Z plus A bar Z bar plus C bar is equal to 0. So we have one system. So you can express this in matrix notation. In matrix notation, the system can be expressed as, so A, B, B bar, A bar into Z, Z bar equals, so take these terms to the right side, minus C bar. So if you multiply these two equations, you will get the left hand side part, and that will be equal to the right hand side part, minus C bar. So just if you simplify this matrix equation, you will get the same system of equations. Now the system star, that is this system, has exactly one solution the system star has exactly one solution if so what is the condition? So the system will have exactly one solution if and only if the coefficient matrix has non-zero determinant. If modulus of, that is determinant of A, B bar A, determinant of this matrix is not equal to 0, So or equivalently, so determinant of this 2 cross 2 matrix is A into A bar minus B into B bar. So this has to be not equal to 0. Or equivalently, modulus of A whole square minus modulus of B whole square has to be not equal to 0. Or modulus of A whole square is not equal to modulus of B whole square. Or equivalently, modulus of A is not equal to modulus of B. So that means the system will have exactly one solution if and only if this condition is satisfied. And whenever this system has exactly one solution, then this individual equation will have one and only one solution. But right? So in that case, it cannot have more than one solution. If it has more than one solution, then so that solution will also be a solution for the second equation. So it will be a solution for the system. So whenever the system has exactly one solution, the equation should also have only one solution. If it has more than one, that extra one will be solution for this equation also. So for these two equations, there is a common solution, means system will have a solution, which is a contradiction to fact that it has exactly one solution. So unique solution for the system implies unique solution for this equation. So hence the equation AZ plus BZ bar plus C is equal to 0 has exactly one solution under the condition the system has exactly one solution, right? So the system has exactly one solution under the condition this one. So under the condition modulus of A is not equal to modulus of B. So we got the condition. Now we have to compute that unique solution. So to get the solution for this equation, it is enough to find the equation for the system. So solution for the system is nothing but solution of this equation. So I have to solve the system. So to call this as coefficient matrix as A, this as X, this as B, this as B. So we have coefficient matrix AB, B bar, A bar into unknown matrix Z into Z bar equals minus C into minus C minus C bar. So this is A, this is X, this is B. This is B. Right? Now, so to get X, we need X. So multiply A inverse on both sides, assuming that the determinant is non-zero. Only whenever assume the determinant is non-zero, then only this equation will have, this system will have unique solution, right? So then X will be equal to A inverse into B. A inverse into B provided modulus of A is non-zero. That means determinant of the coefficient matrix has to be non-zero. So which implies X, that is the matrix Z bar equals A inverse. A inverse is 1 by determinant of A into adjoint of A into B. So which implies matrix Z bar is equal to 1 by determinant of A is modulus of A square minus modulus of B square. Modulus of A whole square minus modulus of B whole square into adjoint of A. Writing adjoint of A for a 2 cross 2 matrix is very easy. So just have to interchange the principal diagonal elements and change the sign of secondary diagonal elements. So B is minus B, model B bar is minus B bar, and into matrix B. So it is minus C bar. Now is 1 by modulus of A whole square minus modulus of B whole square. Now you have to multiply these two equations. So A bar into minus C. So minus A bar C plus B C bar. Another value is minus B bar into minus C. So it is B bar C minus A C bar. Now multiply this constant inside for Z, matrix Z bar is equal to matrix. So it is a 2 cross 1 matrix, that is 2 rows, single column. So these are the entries, these are the two entries. So for this matrix I have to multiply the scalar. So this scalar into each of the terms. So first term into the scalar means B C bar minus A bar C into 1 by this. So that means B C bar minus A bar C divided by modulus of A whole square minus modulus of B whole square. Similarly, the second entry, B bar C minus A C bar divided by modulus of a whole square minus modulus of b whole square. So that is, we got the Z value. So these two matrices are equal, means corresponding entries are equal. So Z is BC bar minus A bar C divided by modulus of A whole square minus modulus of B whole square, and the other Z bar, which will be its conjugate, that is B bar C minus AC bar divided by modulus of A whole square minus modulus of B whole square. So thus we found the solution for the equation AZ plus BZ bar plus C. So this is the only solution under the condition determinant of this matrix is non-zero, so which completes the problem. And by this I'll end this video, and I'll come up with more videos on complex analysis. Thank you.